response, please.
Midterm breaks by Ron Felsen. Interior, the shambling Prague evening. A classic college neighborhood bar. Scattered around the room are several people, none of whom seem to be connected with the other. An air of gloom pervades. Simon McKern, known to all as Mickey, sits at the bar with his bag. So Mickey sits at the bar with his back to the room.
Anyone want to hear the one about...
Fuck off, Mickey.
Mickey gets off the stool and walks toward a piano in the corner.
Isn't that the way of it? A humble man, such as himself, with only a desire to lighten the gloom of it.
For Christ's sake, we're trying to process here.
Really, Mickey, just fuck the fucking fuck off.
He sits at the piano and surveys the keys. He hovers his hands over them a moment, then takes one finger and hits the key underneath it 3 times. When his fingers move into playing, we do not hear music. Rather, we hear a cacophony of voices, snippets of conversation to be heard later. The voices overlap and course around each other with only key words being heard. It gains a musicality that eventually converts to the score. Title sequence. A montage revealing the University of Chicago in mid-autumn. The buildings are beautiful but almost frightfully imposing, with the centerpiece, the quadrangle, a broad yet claustrophobic circle of neoclassical monstrosities. Additional cues show 2 students kicking a soccer ball through an otherwise deserted Rockefeller Chapel, a busy library, students practicing a play, hanging out in a nuclear fission statue, etc. A bulletin board prominently displays posters announcing midterm break issues, such as share a card of Florida for the break, monster spring break party, etc. Tom Pirelli, mid-40s, working out on a universal machine. Sarah Thompson, early 30s, rushing to get out of the kitchen. Central to this is a blender in the middle of the counter. B. Stanza, mid-40s, seated in her living room. She has a big headset on and is reading. She looks across to Silvio Stanza, mid to late 50s and a bit bearish. He has his own headset on, one attached to a different stereo, and is reading as well. Consuela Connie Martin, late 30s, attractive and Latina. She is combing the hair of her husband, Sid Martin, mid-40s. He is thin and sweaty as though collapsed in a fever. Arnie Proctor, mid-60s, lecturing his class. As he walks down the aisle, he passes Trace Armour, early 20s. Very pretty, but with some sharp edges. The music returns to the sound of the single key being monotonously depressed over and over again. The rhythm matches that of a clock. The final image is that of the Doomsday Clock logo on the university's Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists. Dissolved to title, Tuesday, Thanksgiving Week. Interior seminar room, day. The clock on the wall is ticking. Watching the clock is Arnie Proctor, a professor in his early 60s. He is listening to one student, Dave Butera.
Because the underwater battle is the most awesome battle in all of Bond movies.
All right. Now, Mr. Butera gives us 2 things to consider. Now, let's start with the first, words. Now, when you think of the word awesome, what comes into your head?
Underwater battle and thunderball.
Oh, Davy boy, all right, answer me this. What's the best dessert you've ever had? Oh, come on, now this should be easy for you. Concentrate. What's the tastiest, the most exciting, the most sensually satisfying thing that ever lay itself on your tongue and cried, take me? Say it fast.
Pie.
All right, be specific.
Good pie.
Caramel flan.
Caramel flan. Good, Mr. Rivera. Would you call the best caramel flan you've ever had awesome?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Now we're getting somewhere. So, how many of you have ever seen footage of a nuclear blast? And would anyone here describe that sight as awesome? Raise your hand. All right. Good. Here's your lesson for today. Any word that can be used equally to describe both nuclear annihilation and a caramel flan is not acceptable critical terminology. Always remember words matter. Definitions matter. Be specific. Okay, enough for today. Have a good break. And make sure the first draft of your thesis is in my mailbox on Monday. That gives you 6 days to make it brilliant.
You said 2 things. You said Bond Boy brought up 2 things to talk about. You only mentioned the relationship between a nuclear firestorm and dessert.
Right. Well, I was going to remind everyone that the purpose of their thesis is to explore the connections between James Bond and popular culture.
Little boys' dicks.
Something like that.
You can email it.
Well, it's Thanksgiving break. No one wants to hear from me at this critical juncture.
Oh, don't be so down on yourself.
So, what are you up to for the break?
Thanksgiving dinner with the girls.
By girls, I'm guessing you mean you and your cohorts at the Sisters of Sappho?
Yep.
Well, do me a favor. Don't plot to make men redundant just yet.
We can't. We still need your sperm.
That's great.
Which reminds me, I need to get a turkey baster. Have a good bird.
She exits. Lesbian or not, Arnie can't resist appraising her as she leaves. Interior hallway. Trace comes out of the classroom. Dave is standing by the door. He follows her like an obedient puppy. She chooses to ignore him. Interior, Connie's carrel in the student services office. A cramped, half-walled carrel. It is made to seem even more claustrophobic by the profusion of candy dishes and excessively cute candy dispensers. Consuela Connie Martin is holding a bowl of candy in her lap. Sitting across from her is Marcy, early 20s, an obese young woman. Marcy is in the final sobs of a very good cry. Her eyes, though, are fixed on the dish of candy.
You always know how I feel. I swear you're the best head fucker in this place.
I'm glad, but you should just keep in mind I'm not a shrink, just a concerned counselor.
Marcy takes a handful of candy and shoves it in her pocket.
I gotta get some lunch before they close.
Just remember to watch those calories and get some exercise. The point is to feel better about yourself.
Connie rises to say goodbye. Marcy impulsively hugs her, then exits. Connie looks across the carrel and sees a spider crawling across the wall. She takes out a piece of paper and slides it gently in front of the spider. The bug crawls onto the paper and Connie lifts it to contemplate it for a moment. Then just as quickly she balls up the paper in her hand and tosses it into the garbage. She sits, then pulls open a desk drawer. In it are several framed photos of her. In each one she's wearing a different wedding dress and standing next to a different man. She finds a small enameled box in the back of the drawer. There's a knock on the door. Robert Senna, early 20s, is standing there. Dressed in black, it is more fair to say that he is cloaked in attractive gloom, rather like a professional suicide.
Hi, Robert. Come on in. How are classes this week? Keeping up?
What's the point?
You have classes keep grades lead to graduation.
Vicious fucking cycle. Aggravated.
He slides his wheeled chair around the room while pretending to look at the jars. His attention, though, is on her. He ends up very close to her.
My mother stabbed my baby brother in the eye with a pen. I think it was a Bic. Maybe a Uniball would be better. I'm conflicted.
Catch me up here. Are we talking about a fantasy or a story idea for class?
Whatever.
He puts his hand on hers. Rather than reject it, she allows it to happen. Interior, Dean's office a short while later. Connie is seated with Stu Blankenship, the Dean of Student Services.
Don't you think it's time we kick this one up to mental health?
Not yet. I feel strongly about this student.
He's a student, Connie, not a project.
They're all projects.
Interior, health facilities, same. Unlike the rest of the architecture, this place is modern, brightly lit, and quite sterile. A pair of feet with perfect white shoes and perfectly raised white socks are pacing on a treadmill. These belong to Tom Pirelli. He's listening to music on an iPod. Sarah Thompson steps on the treadmill next to his. She is less perfect in her appearance. She turns on her iPod and starts the machine. Her trot is slower and seems more of a chore. They acknowledge each other with a nod. After a moment, Tom reaches across to her treadmill controls and turns up the resistance. He smiles at her and shows her the pace to keep with his nodding head. She smiles back. As soon as he turns to face out, she flips him the bird. Cut to Tom and Sarah's kitchen a short while later. A blender whirring like mad. Tom is watching Sarah as she is feeding veggies into the top of a blender.
Poor kale.
Do we know yet if your kids are coming for Thanksgiving?
High-end carotenoids.
Your kids!
No, kale. Watch out, you're frapping. It's not that hard to make it perfect.
I like it a little less
Then it
processed.
wouldn't be a smoothie, now would it?
Are your kids coming for Thanksgiving?
No. Mama Medina won't let them out of his sight. I
Disappointed?
just want things to be perfect.
Well, we'll just have to make it a different perfect. Connie's asked us over to their place.
Might as well say yes. Tell them I'll bring the tofurkey. What time are we meeting the others?
Around 6.
Damn, not enough time.
We can be quick.
I meant to get another look at your 10-year defense.
Sarah breaks the embrace, then takes out her cell and begins to call. Interior B and Silvio's living room immediately following. It is a cluttered, stuffy, yet familiar home. B stanza sits in an overstuffed chair. She's wearing a big set of headphones and reading. In a similar chair on the other side of the room sits Silvio Stanza. He has a similar pair of headphones, tethering him to a different stereo. He's pounding away at a laptop. The phone rings. Several times. Neither hears it. After the caller hangs up, B pulls her headset off. She kicks Silvio in the foot. He removes his headset.
What?
What?
Did you say something?
No.
I thought you did. What are you listening to?
Not you.
Well, I'm listening to Led Zeppelin. The Immigrant song, it always makes me think of you.
Then turn it off.
I fucking hate Led Zeppelin.
Well, then turn it off.
He turns up the volume and goes back to his laptop.
We're meeting everyone for drinks at the Frog in an hour. Better get ready.
Neither of them move a muscle. Interior, Shambling Frog, evening. It is a busy night at the bar. The mix of students and faculty reveal it is a nexus point for the university. Trace and two of her friends, Frida and Tyler, both butch to her femme, are shooting pool. Dave is seated at the bar watching her. B and Silvio are seated with Tom and Sarah at a large round table in the far corner. Mickey sits in his usual perch at the far end of the bar. Bruno, early 30s, a grad student slash bartender, is half-heartedly listening to him.
So he says to him, the driver, this man says, "Does this bus go to the loop?" "No," says the driver. "It goes beep beep."
Yeah, that was a classic.
Pony up.
Really?
That's what my friend asked for.
Okay, picture.
Better make it 2. Nikki,
Professor Stanza.
how's your semester going?
Bruno returns with the two pitchers.
Thanks. I'll be back for the glasses. And throw one on for this loudmouth drunken McMaster.
Kind words, much appreciated.
Silvio returns to the table.
Guess who's here?
Oh, Connie's not gonna like that.
It'd be hard to go anywhere and not run into one of her exes.
She hasn't been married that much, has she?
I don't know that she's ever actually been married. It's more like something she does to mark time between divorces.
Arnie enters the front door and spots the table across the room. He motions that he's going to get a drink before coming over. He crosses to the bar and ends up next to Dave.
Dr. Proctor,
Mr. Butera.
let me buy you a drink.
No, actually, that wouldn't be appropriate.
What do you have, Professor?
Vodka latte. Shaken, not stirred.
Double take a look.
Arnie is goosed with a pool cue.
Oops.
Oh,
Sorry.
hey!
Check out that butt.
Trace teasingly slaps at his butt.
Chomp. Sorry about that.
The four at the table are watching this.
Looks like Arnie is doing all right for himself.
Better be careful, that was an undergraduate.
She's also a dyke.
Lug.
What?
Lug. Lesbian until graduation.
Committing without quitting.
Very hip.
Arnie comes over to the table.
Good evening, all. What? All right, fuck you all very much.
Connie enters with her husband Sid. He is bundled in a winter coat and appears nervous and desiccated.
I'm glad you're all having a good time.
Guess who's here?
Ooh,
Your ex.
which one?
Silvio jerks his head toward the bar. Connie looks. Mickey sees Connie in the mirror and rather maliciously tips his glass to her. She gives him a perfunctory wave.
I guess that one goes in the failed project file.
What did he say?
Who?
Your husband.
Did he say something?
Here. Let me.
No, don't worry, I'm just cold. No, not that. In fact, You know what next Tuesday is. Connie, tell them what next Tuesday is.
1 year sober.
1 year sober. It's been hard, but it's been 1 year Tuesday. Thanks to her. I'm just a little cold.
How have you been, Arnie?
Oh, you know.
It's been 2 years. More even, you should think about getting back in the swim.
Yeah, my friend Cynthia. I mean, I really think the two of you would just hit it.
Thanks, but I'm not ready, really. I think it would be easier if Marguerite had dumped me, but dying, there's no break in the commitment. It's still there.
Connie kisses his forehead.
If you need me or anything.
You're a saint, darling, but I'm doing Jake.
Connie looks up. Across the bar and past the pool table, she can see Robert standing outside the window. He is staring in at her with great intensity. Her concentration is broken when Arnie reaches in front of her to get the pitcher. She takes it and pours him a beer. He downs his double-dickel, then takes a chaser and practically spits it back in the glass.
What the fuck is this?
Pony up. It's gluten-free.
Jesus, they should have left it in the pony.
Mickey is approaching the table.
Uh-oh.
Good evening to you all. I have a joke for you.
Can't we spout poetry like any other self-respecting Irish drunk?
I say, fuck you, Yates, Beckett, and Joyce.
What does he teach?
Irish lit.
I have a joke.
Then say it and leave us in peace.
What are the 3 streets in Chicago that rhyme with vagina? Paulina, Melvina, and Lunt.
Okay. Let's take it down a notch. Mickey, come on. Let's go to the bar.
Hey, a lesson in the power of the subjunctive. It's not the words you use, it's the way you use them.
Enough.
Silvio leads him to the bar.
Ah, Jesus, Connie, I'm sorry about that.
It's not your fault.
Do you need anything?
No, nothing, just some air.
She rises and leaves through the side door.
Is it me, or is this night beginning to feel a little like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf?
What a dump.
Betty Davis.
Exterior immediately following. Connie comes around the side of the building and spies Robert by the window. He is smoking.
What are you doing here?
Robert crosses over to her and starts walking down the alley. She gets in step behind him. After a moment, she turns him around.
I asked what you were doing here.
They stare at each other a moment. Suddenly, Connie grabs him and they start to kiss, then wrestle to the ground, falling against a couple of big plastic garbage cans. These fall and the contents scatter. Robert still attempts to hold on to his cigarette. Interior, Shambling Frog immediately following. Silvio returns from having deposited Mickey at the bar.
Jesus.
Sorry I had to see that. I swear that woman is a saint.
A saint.
Mother Cabrini. Motherfucking Cabrini.
Men's room a short while later. Tom and Silvio enter and go to the urinals. They're quiet for a moment.
Jesus.
Cut to the bar, immediately following. Arnie rises from the table.
I think I'll mosey over to the bar and see what's up.
He exits.
She's drifting away. Her work is done, so she says. But I say no.
Tom and Silvio return.
What's up?
Where's Arnie?
You went to the bar.
Silvio's point of view, Arnie is at the bar pretending not to notice Trace, but failing. Dave isn't even pretending not to. Trace is shooting pool with Frida. Dave is positioned so that he is in Trace's line of sight when she sets up a shot. Trace motions him to step aside. He looks at her in a tauntingly seductive way and shakes his head. Trace shrugs and gets behind the ball. She intentionally hits it below the rim and sends it flying off the table and toward Dave's head. Dave ducks and the ball misses him. He pops right back up and continues his flirting.
Whoa, you're swimming in deep water, Davy boy.
Trace plays pool throughout the following.
You're a Bond boy.
What do you mean?
Seen every Bond movie. Probably got them all on DVD.
Just the...
Connery's, I know. A purist. Only the early ones, the classics.
So?
Girls. What's Davy Boy's all-time favorite James Bond movie?
Goldfinger.
Yep, Goldfinger. Right, Davy Boy?
It is the best one.
Actually, a true James Bond aesthete would argue with you. A real critic would say, From Russia with Love. More suspense, less reliance on gadgets, better use of locations, great dyke villainess. Why, Dave?
Why?
Why, in the face of overwhelming critical thinking, would you choose Goldfinger over From love.
Because
I can
it-
tell you in 2 words, Dave. Want to know what they are?
Tell me.
Girls.
Pussy galore.
Pussy galore.
Pussy galore.
Yes, pussy galore. Strong, assertive, runs her own flying circus. Not your typical Bond girl, is she, Dave?
I guess not.
Because she was a dyke.
Pussy galore is a lesbian.
Don't insult my intelligence. My brother tumbled to that one when he was 12.
Okay, so Pussy galore is a lesbian. What of it?
Tense, Dave.
What?
Tense, not is, was. She was a lesbian until James Bond fucked her in the hayloft. After that, she's all, let's forget about Fort Knox. All because the right man shows her the true joys of dick.
Yeah, and by Thunderball, he's dumped her for that twat in a bathing suit. James Bond. Fucking paragon of commitment, right?
So,
So turn off the charm, Mr. Bond. I'm immune.
okay. So you hate men.
I don't hate men. I love men. I just don't sleep with men, that's all.
Then you never get what we got to get.
Trace misses her shot. Tyler glowers at Dave.
What?
You like close shaves, don't you, Mr. Bond?
The bar, a short while later, Bea and Sarah have made their way to the bar to pick up the next round.
Hey, Bruno. What's up?
What do you mean?
I mean, you've been walking around all night looking like a dry fuse looking for a hot match.
Tenure.
Oh, God. Another round, please. How much longer?
I go before the UTC on Monday.
Well, so you're almost home. If they approve, you only need the chancellor's signature.
What if I don't want the chancellor's signature?
Table immediately following. Sid is huddled in his coat. His active eyes seem to be intently following a non-existent fly. Tom and Silvio aren't noticing this at all.
She'll ace the community service component, but I'm worried about publications, thin, and methodology.
Maybe she's not ready for this test.
I've been working her towards this ever since we met.
I came here for French lit.
So you didn't know what you wanted?
Then I took a course on Maya Angelou, the African American poet experience.
Wait, you taught a course on a black woman taught by a white man?
He said I showed promise.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. How long before he slept with you?
Oh, we never did it during the semester. It was very ethical.
And married.
Well, yeah. I guess that would come under irony.
That's not irony. It's timing. You want irony? I married a constitutional law professor who isn't even American. Must have been rebelling against something. I only wish I knew what it was. Hey, come on, set him up, please.
She's never known what she wants. It isn't a matter of what she wants anyway. That's my problem. I just want her to make us proud, and you can't be proud without tenure.
Didn't anybody tell you that's how professors work?
What way?
Oh, you're so promising. You're so smart and better than your peers. And you're so fucking succulent.
I'm not naive now, but that was 8 years ago.
Yeah, and if you only knew now. Hey, Jesus Christ, who the fuck do I have to fuck to get a drink around here?
You want to get my wife a drink?
Same a short while later, a dart hits the dartboard. Trace pulls it and 2 others out and then returns to the throw line. She hands these to Arnie, who lines up to shoot. Dave is behind them, watching from the bar. He's not very happy.
Cyanide or explosive tipped. James Bond, you appear with the tedious inevitability of an unloved season.
What's that from?
Moonraker, he's moved on from Connery to Moore.
Boy has unsuspected depth.
Arnie throws, but is wide right of the target.
You missed, Mr. Bond.
You know, it's not my canon to threaten a student's grade just because he's being a jerk, but in your case, I'd be happy to make an exception.
Your dream, whatever sort of nightmare it is, hasn't a chance, Drax.
Good night, Davy boy.
Dave exits. Arnie returns to the game. He lobs another dart, and once again, this is the target.
You didn't come here to talk to me about button mushrooms and birds.
That's not Bond, that's... what? Who is that?
Harry Palmer, the Empress File. I have a broad range of tastes.
Arnie lines up another dart. This one at least hits the target, although nowhere near the center.
You didn't come here to talk to me about button mushrooms and birds.
Allie, immediately following. Robert is sitting huddled up against the wall. He is smoking. Connie is standing and straightening herself out. She sees him and leans down to stroke his face.
You're very messed up. I appreciate that.
She kisses him very sweetly and exits to the bar. Interior table immediately following, Connie re-enters. Only a slight disheveling of her hair would imply anything untoward as having happened.
You all right?
We were about to send out the troops.
Oh, I'm good, but I think it's time to go. See you all Thursday.
She kisses Tom and Silvio on their respective cheeks.
Have you been smoking?
Sid rises. Suddenly, he smashes his glass into the table. The bar goes silent.
Here's the story of a lovely lady who was bringing up 3 very lovely girls. All of them had hair of gold, like their mother, the youngest one in curls.
Here's the story of a young lady who was busy with 3 boys of his own. They were 4 men living all together, but they were all alone. Till the one day when the lady met this fellow, and they knew that it was much more than a hunch, that this group was somehow form a family. That's the way we all became the Brady Bunch, the Brady Bunch, the Brady Bunch. That's the way we became the Brady Bunch.
Sid turns to find Connie. She is gone. Dejected, he exits.
You giving them months or weeks?
Days. I know the signs. This ought to make for a very interesting Thanksgiving.
Give her this credit. She knows what she wants.
Bar immediately following.
Oh, Connie knows what she wants, all right. She wants someone more fucked up than she is.
I guess there's some advantages to knowing what you want.
Yeah, that's what they tell me. Look, you know, when I married that one, we already had tenure. Great, I'm thinking. Security. Neither one of us has to worry about losing our jobs. But with every semester, one brick gets added to the pyramid.
What pyramid?
The one they wall you up in. The one that slowly fills with sand and chokes you inch by inch by fucking inch.
Oh, how awful.
I'm probably making it sound worse than it is. I do get library privileges.
Arnie crosses over to the 2 of them.
Time to call it a night.
Ooh, be careful with that one.
I'll sneak out back to say goodbye to the others and see you Thursday.
He kisses each, then exits. Exterior, Shambling Frog a short while later. The 2 couples exit. Behind them in the window, we can see Trace putting on her coat.
How's the Plessy versus Ferguson book coming?
Great. I'm blowing the lid off separate but equal.
About time someone did.
See you Thursday.
Thursday. Good break until then.
They exit their separate ways. A moment later, Trace comes out the door with Frida and Tyler. They kiss. Trace and Tyler, arm in arm, go one way, Frida the other. Watching from across the street is Dave. He starts moving in the same direction, his attention clearly fixed on Trace. As Trace and Tyler pass the alley, we can see that Arnie is also watching them from the shadows. Montage. A series of images of the university in early morning. Autumnal colors mix with the slate and stone of the buildings to create an attractive if cold impression. Title, Wednesday. Interior, Arnie's bedroom. An unmade queen-size bed, although it is clear that only one side has been slept on. Above it is a large poster for Goldfinger. The room is otherwise stuffed with the photos and memorabilia of his late wife. Arnie, in his wife's robe, enters and sits on his edge of the bed and sips coffee. B and Silvio's bedroom, as cluttered and lived in as their living room. There are 2 symmetrical twin beds separated by a gap. Silvio is sitting up in his bed and reading. B enters with a cup of coffee and sits on her bed. Silvio, without looking up, reaches for her coffee, but she withdraws it. Sid's bedroom, rather frilly and decidedly unmasculine. Sid is lying in the single bed and appearing quite out of place in his own home. Clearly, Connie sleeps in a separate room. Connie enters. She's carrying her purse in one hand and a large mug of coffee in the other. She hands Sid the coffee, then crosses to the chest of drawers. With her back to him, she opens her purse and removes the small enameled box that was in her office drawer. She places it under his underwear. She closes the drawer, then turns and smiles at him. It is a little unsettling. Tom and Sarah's bedroom. It is very neat and orderly. Nothing in the room looks like it was put there without a very specific reason. Tom is looking over Sarah's tenure documentation. She is lying next to him.
The teaching philosophy can use a little pumping up.
Ooh, I love it when you grade me.
She slips her hand under the covers and begins to masturbate him. At first, he seems to pay no mind, but soon the two slide into making love. Tom and Sarah's kitchen, a short while later. The blender is whirring again. Tom is standing behind it in his robe. Sarah enters.
I want you.
You just had me.
No, I mean, I miss you.
I'm right here.
Are you?
You know, sometimes I don't quite get your sense of humor.
I didn't know I was being funny.
Bea and Silvio's kitchen, a short while later. Floor-to-ceiling shelves stuffed with cooking utensils, cookbooks, etc. Silvio is sitting at the breakfast table in his bathrobe. He's working on his laptop. There's a cup of coffee in front of him. Bea, dressed, enters and takes a sip of his coffee.
What's on your agenda for the day?
I don't have an agenda.
I'm not accusing you, I'm asking you what your plans are.
Just a typical day in my reckless and exciting life. Shopping, grading, fucking my 18-year-old lover.
Sounds good, now let me work on this chapter.
She reaches for his coffee again, but he moves it to the other side of his computer. She throws several papers and books off the table.
You know what I say? I say fuck Plessy and fuck Ferguson.
She goes to throw more off the table. He grabs her wrist and she struggles, but it becomes quickly apparent that this is their foreplay. Within seconds, they are thrashing about on the floor. Bea is on the bottom. Bea's point of view, the shelves looming above them.
Get off! Get off!
Silvio rolls off. Bea rushes for the door and out onto the back deck. Exterior, deck. She clutches onto the railing and tries to catch her breath. Silvio comes into the doorway.
You okay? If you're okay, then can I get back to this chapter? I'm in a very, very fragile place.
She turns on him, still catching her breath. Suddenly grabbing him, she pulls him down the stairs and into the garden. It is overgrown from neglect, and the autumnal colors give it a sad countenance.
Here. Fuck me right here.
Here?
Here! Now! Do it!
Thanks.
Silvio's clearly torn between finishing this and going back to his work. She sees this and with a flash of anger leaps onto him. They fall and disappear into the overgrowth. Arnie's bathroom. Arnie, wearing his late wife's frilly robe, is brushing his teeth. He sees himself in the mirror. He looks confused. He leaves the bathroom and enters the bedroom. He walks around the room and turns all of the pictures of his wife face down. He then leaves and closes the door behind him. He locks it. He goes back in the bathroom and exchanges his wife's robe for his own. He now walks to his office and sits behind the computer. He types the words lesbian porn into the Google bar and hits return.
Holy shit, there are options?
Trace's bedroom, same. The room is like a blank white canvas waiting for an artist. Clothes are strewn about the room. She and Tyler are in bed, both quite obviously naked under the sheets. Tyler rolls over and gives Trace a quick kiss on the cheek.
I gotta pee. Where is it?
On the right, over there.
Tyler gets out of bed and exits to the bathroom. Trace gets up enough to open the window behind her. She lights a joint and sits quietly for a moment. The sound of a toilet flush. Tyler hot-foots back to the bed.
Jesus, it's cold in here. It's break. We can spend the whole day in bed.
Not me. I have a lot to do today. Think about getting first.
Cut to Connie and Sid's bedroom, same. Sid is curled up in the bed. Connie is dressing. At this point, she's only in her bra and panties. Sid watches her.
Come here, please.
Connie comes over to the bed and sits beside him. She checks his temperature with her hand, but registers nothing.
Angel of mercy, you do so much for me.
She starts to get up, but Sid takes her wrist. She sits down, and he guides her hand under the sheet.
You know nothing's going to happen when you're using.
Please.
She begins to masturbate him under the covers. He is watching her eyes with some intensity, but her actions are mechanical and without feeling. After a moment, she stops.
I told you.
I love you.
I don't know what you mean by that.
I mean,
Have you thought more about what we talked about?
I'm not losing you.
You're using again, Sid. If I can't help you, then there's no reason for you to stay.
She cleans her hand on the sheet even though nothing happened. He takes her hand.
Don't go. We're both users. We need each other.
I don't know what you mean. I have to get to the store.
She exits. Sid watches her go. As the door closes, we hear the bolt slip into place. Sid is now locked in the room.
The fuck you don't!
Interior, bakery, a short while later. A glass counter divided into two areas. On one side are beautiful and colorful pastries. The other side is marked gluten-free. These pastries are colorless, flat, and very heavy-looking. The clerk takes some from the gluten-free side and puts them in a bag.
That'll be $12.80.
Tom is buying these. He removes a $20 bill from his wallet. He looks out the window toward the supermarket and sees something. Tom gathers up his package and hurriedly leaves for the door.
Wait, Professor, your change.
Keep it. Happy
He
Thanksgiving.
exits quickly. Supermarket parking lot. Immediately following, Tom trots across the lot toward Connie.
Connie, hey, come on.
Is that for Thursday?
No, just something for the kids for Thanksgiving. That for us.
No peeking. A girl's gotta have some mystery.
How's Sid? I shouldn't ask. Whoa, steady girl.
He opens the back door of her SUV and slides her in. Tom gets in beside her and closes the door.
What's going on?
He's using again.
I know. The Brady Bunch kind of tipped that hand.
When we got married, he promised me that I could help him quit.
Wasn't it that way with Mick and with that other one, the one with OCD?
Which one was that?
Horst, wasn't it?
No. Horst was the schizophrenic. Ali. Yeah, Ali. He was the OCD.
Connie, I've always been meaning to ask you this.
What?
Are you sensing a pattern here?
What do you mean?
I mean, there's no law requiring you to get on a plane to become a kamikaze pilot.
Why can't I ever go for someone as unfucked up as you?
I'm not so unfucked.
She kisses him. The kiss is clumsy.
Wait.
I'm sorry.
No, wait.
She straddles him, then kisses him again, much harder and with better coordination.
I can't do this. I can't do this.
I can't do this. Yes, I can. I can do this.
He reaches for her again, but she hops out of the SUV. He follows her out. She starts to load the groceries into her SUV with an almost maniacal zeal. In her haste, she drops a bag. Tom scampers to help her.
Let me...
No! She gathers everything up and flings it into the back of the SUV. She jumps behind the wheel and pulls out into the lane. She stops and rolls down the window and motions for Tom. He crosses over to
You're
her.
a perfectionist and you're compulsive, and I don't even know if you're capable of really loving anyone. Call me.
She peels off. Tom looks down and sees his bag from the bakery on the ground. He picks it up. The SUV immediately following. Connie pulls out of the parking lot. Her phone rings. She looks at the caller ID, then answers.
Yes, Maria.
I know it's your day off, but I've got a student in crisis. He says he has to see you right away.
The street immediately following, Connie's SUV goes down the street. As it passes, the camera tilts up to reveal Dave. He's on the roof of a two-story building. He's looking through a camera with a long lens. Dave's point of view, through her bedroom window, he can see Trace. She is still in bed, but Tyler is no longer there. Trace's bedroom immediately following. She is lying under the covers. Her phone dings a text. She looks at it, but gives it no heed. The phone in her hand, though, gives her an idea. She suddenly leaps out of bed. Still naked, she walks over to the full-length mirror. She appraises her body for a moment, then holds up the camera on her cell phone. She takes a photo of herself and looks at it. It is full body. She trashes it, then takes another. This one shows her body, but not her head. With some excitement, she texts the picture. Arnie's home office, immediately following. Arnie is still in his bathrobe and still at the computer. His phone dings with a text. Arnie opens it. It is the picture of a naked woman from the neck down. The address section gives only a phone number. Unsure at first, he dials the number. Trace's bedroom immediately following. Trace is putting on her clothes. Her phone rings. She looks at the screen and sees that it is Arnie. She drops the phone on the bed and steps back, not sure what she is supposed to do now. Outside her window and across the street, we can see Dave on the roof with his camera. Bea and Silvio's garden. Same. Bea and Silvio are lying on the ground. They have clearly just finished a very rough bit of sex. Silvio's eyes are closed. Bee turns to him and realizes that he is asleep. She slaps at his shoulder, but all he does is turn over. She rises and adjusts her muddy dress. Bee in Silvio's kitchen a moment later. Bee enters. She surveys the mess that she has made of Silvio's papers. She stoops down and begins to look through some of these. She selects some and puts them into a neat pile. She takes this pile and shoves it behind some cleaning supplies in the cupboard under the sink. Interior, Mariella's condo, same. There is a knocking on the door. Mariella is Tom's ex-wife. She opens the door. Tom is standing outside the door holding the bag from the bakery.
Well, look what the category is.
Enough. I just brought these over for the kids. And don't worry, they're gluten-free.
Mariella steps aside and lets him enter. Student services office, same. It is deserted. We can hear the sound of a drawer being roughly pulled out. It is coming from Connie's carrel. Robert is in Connie's carrel. Clearly looking for something, he is rifling through her drawer. He spies her Rolodex. He finds a card, examines it, and shoves it in his pocket. He can hear Connie and Maria outside the carrel.
He was so upset, I just couldn't get
I'll
into
take care of it.
Robert grabs a fistful of candy and shoves it in his pocket. He then throws himself like an angry, wet rag into her desk chair. Connie stops in the carrel door. She points to the other chair. Robert shifts to it. Connie sits in her chair.
How is your break going?
Robert rolls over to her and attempts to grab her. She pushes back his chair.
Stay.
What if I want to roll over?
I said stay. Maria said you were upset and you refused to talk to anybody but me. What's up?
What's up?
Is there an issue we need to discuss?
Mariella's kitchen, same. Tom is seated at the table. Mariella is pouring him coffee.
Thanks.
The boys are fine, in case you were wondering.
Good.
Tommy was talking about going to school for theater, but I think I broke him that. How are things with Esther?
Sarah.
I knew there was something biblical about her.
Fine. I guess.
Connie's carrel, same.
That was heat. That was intense, man. It was like total fucking love.
It was sex, Robert. It happens like that sometimes.
Not with me.
Maybe I was wrong with you. I apologize.
Total fucking love.
There's fucking and there's love. Don't confuse the two. Now, it's possible that I might have overstepped a little. I mean, the student-counselor relationship thing. If so, I'm sorry.
But I fucking love you.
You might want to consider a different counselor. Do you know Maria?
Mariella's kitchen, same.
Her meeting with the tenure committee is Monday.
Happy holidays. Is she ready?
I don't know. As ready as I can make her. What?
I'm just remembering when you went up for tenure. You didn't want it either.
Of course I wanted it.
Darling, you never knew what you wanted. Without me, you'd still be in grad school.
Dave's dorm room a short while later. Dave is downloading photos onto his tablet. While this is going on, he strips down to his boxer shorts and t-shirt. He unhooks the camera and sits back in the bed with his tablet. He pulls over the covers. On the tablet screen is a photo of Trace and Tyler having sex, shot through the apartment window. His finger moves the screen to the next photo. Tyler is going down on Trace. Dave starts to masturbate as his free hand moves on to the next picture. Suddenly, the door flings open. Dave's roommate Paul enters. With him is his girlfriend. Dave shoves the tablet under his covers.
Oh, sorry. We were just... That's okay. It's good. I was just catching some Z's.
The girlfriend sticks her head in the door and sees Dave lying in the bed. To say the least, there is a tent pole. He realizes it and tries to hide it. Embarrassed, the girlfriend giggles. Bee in Silvio's garden later that afternoon. Silvio is whacking his way through the overgrowth. Bee comes out onto the porch.
Sil, Arnie's here. Boys play nice. I'm meeting Sarah for coffee.
Give her a kiss for me. Hey, Arnie, what's up?
I think I've got a situation, and I figured since you're Italian.
I don't do hits.
No, I mean you're not American. See, I don't think you'll freak out.
Got my attention.
Arnie takes out his phone and opens the photo of Trace. He hands it to Silvio.
Media.
I got this morning.
Lucky you.
I think I know who it is.
Ooh.
I think it's Trace, but that doesn't make any sense.
Why? Because she's a dyke?
I don't like that word.
Okay, a lesbian. Because she's a lesbian?
Well, yeah.
Me and Sarah think she's a love.
Oh, now look again. She's very attractive.
Lesbian until graduation.
Oh, you mean like an experimental phase?
Something like that.
Well, that's hot. It's all right to say that?
What are you going to do about it?
Well, I need to find out if it's her.
Have the school check the number and tell them you saw it in a lost textbook.
I can't wait till Monday.
Then reverse directory it online.
I tried. It's a blocked number.
You didn't try the obvious, did you?
What?
Calling her back.
She didn't answer.
Then call her back when she's in your line of sight. If her phone rang.
Ah, of course! Then what?
Remember, she's still an undergraduate.
I have tenure.
Interior, grounds of Bean. A short while later, it is a funky coffee house in the Divinity School. Bee and Sarah are sitting against the wall.
You made me very nervous last night.
About what?
About all that talk about tenure, pyramids, sand, dying.
I don't mind me, I'm just a frustrated old bitch.
You're not old.
Compared to 99% of the girls our husbands come in contact with, I'm positively ancient.
Well, that's ridiculous. Sylvia was crazy about you, and anyone can see that.
Yeah, would it interest you to know that I have a rival?
What?
The university is a jealous mistress. Don't pretend you don't know what I'm talking about. How many times has Tom refused to fuck you because he had an article due? Oh yeah, did you ever wake up in the middle of the night and find Tom with a flashlight secretly reading through a treatise? Hiding research between the mattress and the box spring? I'm telling you, I don't worry about other women. I worry about his department. To them, I'm just the inconvenient wife who keeps them from having him all to themselves.
Wow. You know I love you, Bee, but man, you were a downer.
Yeah.
Tom and Sarah's kitchen, evening. Tom comes into the kitchen. He goes straight to the blender and puts in some water.
Hun, what are you up to?
Just making a smoothie.
He opens the freezer and puts a large amount of ice in the blender. He turns it on. It is very loud. Tom pulls his phone from his pocket and dials.
Hello, Connie? It's Tom. No, I can't talk any louder. It's the blender. You asked me to call. Can I see you? Now?
Exterior, Shambling Frog. A short while later. Arnie comes up along the main window. He looks inside surreptitiously. The place is relatively quiet with most of the patrons at the bar. Trace can be seen shooting pool with Tyler and Frida. Arnie crosses around to the alley and goes into the back door. Interior, immediately following. Arnie enters through the back door and goes to the far corner of the bar. Bruno crosses to Arnie.
Double dibble. Oh. Okay.
Arnie takes out his phone and dials. He watches Trace to see if it is her phone that he is dialing. At first, it appears not to be hers. She doesn't reach for anything. Tyler then reaches into the purse next to her and pulls out the phone. Tyler signals Trace, who crosses to see who's calling. When she does, the jolt going through her is enough for Arnie to see and know. Trace looks around the room. She sees Arnie. Arnie waves to her. Trapped, she can do nothing but wave back. Sid's bedroom, same. The room is more disheveled than before. The bed bears the marks of sweating and thrashing. Sid is crunched in the fetal position. His phone rings. He struggles across the bed, but by the time he reaches it, it has gone to voicemail. He sits up and stumbles to the bathroom. He turns the light on. He opens the medicine chest, but it is completely bare. He goes back to the bedroom, switching off the light as he goes. He comes back into the bedroom and sits on the edge of the bed. The phone buzzes with a message. He hits the speaker.
Hey man, you should know, I fucking love your wife, and she fucking loves me. She's done with you, man. And if she doesn't want to finish the job, I'll do it. So fuck you.
Sid is frozen for a moment. He takes the phone and crawls back into the fetal position. He replays the message. Interior, Bee and Silvio's bedroom, same. Bee has pushed the two beds together and has pulled the sheets off them. She is spreading Silvio's research paperwork evenly over the top of the mattresses. She begins to put the fitted sheet over these.
Hey, hon, have you seen that article on Harlan's concerns about the entrenchment of the 14th Amendment?
No, I haven't.
Interior, Shambling Frog, same. Trace comes over to Arnie.
Hi.
Hi, can I,
Buy me a drink?
yeah.
Would that be inappropriate?
Well, it's a little late to worry about that.
Oh, God, I can't believe I did that. I mean, what got into me? It just happened, and now you're looking at me, and all you're seeing is my buck-ass naked ass. Oh, man, not even that, my buck-ass naked front. And you're my teacher, and now you've got to look at me sitting there for the rest of the semester and think I've seen her buck-ass naked.
Well, she puts her head down in the bar and starts banging it. Arnie signals Bruno to get around for both of them. Nervously at first, he puts his hand on her shoulder to console her.
Tell me you haven't shown it to anyone else?
Well, I won't lie to you. Yes, one person.
The Chancellor. Oh my God, I'm so fond.
No, not the Chancellor. I just showed it to one friend because I needed advice.
Who? Don't. Great. You needed advice on how to deal with your buck-ass naked student issue.
Well, it's not an everyday occurrence, at least for me.
So what did you and your friend decide?
Well, nothing really. I mean, have you ever done anything like this before?
With my girlfriends all the time.
But your teachers?
Never.
And then?
I guess you're probably a little confused. I mean, under the circumstances and all.
Well.
Exterior, Nuclear Fission Memorial, a short while later. Tom is waiting by the statue. He nervously checks the time. Connie enters. There's an awkward friend kiss.
Sorry, not meeting here. You never know who you're going to run into with the frog.
Are we hiding?
You tell me. Look, I'm confused about something. Who started that this afternoon?
Started what?
In the back of the SUV.
Oh, both of us, I guess.
Tom takes this as a signal of interest and goes to put his arm around her. She rises and takes a step away.
Connie, I love you. I always have.
I know.
No.
I never worried about it because you never did anything.
Well, only because of timing. We were never free at the same
You
time.
aren't free now.
You will be. And soon. I know the signs. And once Sarah gets past her tenure...
You're not asking me how I feel.
Oh. I assume.
I love you too. I can't. I don't know what kind of love you are.
Are you saying you're not in love with me?
Why do you love me? What do you see?
You handle the world around you with such... I don't know. Such grace. No, it's more than that. Kindness. You take care of the people you love.
Yes, I take care of them.
B and Silvio's bedroom, same. The room is now filled with lit candles. B is lying on the bed in lingerie. We can hear Silvio coming up the stairs.
Well, it's not in the office, and don't tell me to check in the box in the pantry because I already looked in the box in the pantry and it's not in the box in the pantry.
He reaches the bedroom door and sees B.
What, again?
Tom and Sarah's bedroom, same. Sarah is sitting cross-legged in bed with her laptop in front of her. There's a big binder next to her as well as some random papers. On the nightstand is a lit joint in an ashtray. On the computer screen is a page, the heading of which reads, "Questions you can expect at your tenure defense." Sarah takes a hit off the joint.
Does the articulation of your methodology require strict adherence to Socratic principles, or do you feel sometimes it necessary to inject Pestalozzian theory? If so, be prepared to explain Pestalozzi and its application in your classroom in light of its relationship to or application of the Socratic method. Application? Abnifugation? That's an improper usage. What PhD moron wrote this shit? You'll never get tenured with this kind of mistake, you dumb fucking dumb shit dumb. Oh, fuck me.
Shambling Frog, a short while later. Tyler is shooting pool and looking upset. She scans the room for Trace. She sees that Arnie and Trace have moved to a small table in the corner of the bar.
Are you playing or what?
Is that your, no, I don't know what to, your girlfriend?
Tyler? No, it's just a fuck buddy. Hey, you've seen me naked. It's not like there's any point in hiding things from me.
Well, I guess that's true. Speaking of which,
He takes out his phone.
I should delete this from my photo stream.
Keep it.
No,
I want you to. Really. What about you? Any fuck buddies?
Oh, no, I don't think it.
I can ask that. You have my pussy on your phone.
Look, is this blackmail?
Give it to me.
She scrolls through the photos until she finds the one of her.
Now look at me. All of them. Go ahead. Everything is out there on my side, so try putting it all out there on yours.
No, I mean, no, whatever it is you call them.
You know what I call them. Go ahead. Use the words.
No, fuck buddies. Okay, let's just be open. The campus gossip is that you're a lag.
Lug?
Right, a lug.
Well, that's kind of embarrassing.
Sorry.
It's not your fault. Let's say I'm just not sure yet. I slept with both, you know.
So you're a bisexual?
That's just so indecisive. I need to commit one way or the other. I guess I'm not there yet.
Hallway outside B and Silvio's bedroom, same. Through the half-open door, we can see the glow of the candles on the edge of the bed.
Again!
Again?
Again!
Minya!
The bed starts to shake and creak. Exterior, 56th Street, same. Connie and Tom are walking along the street. They're quiet. Connie slips her arm into his. They walk a bit more, then stop in front of her house.
I have to go in.
She starts to go, then turns and kisses Tom on the cheek.
Maybe.
She goes in the door as Tom watches. He looks up at the lit window of Sid's room. Shambling Frog, same.
Not anyone.
How is that even possible?
Well, we were high school sweethearts. I just never cheated on
And
her.
she's been dead how long?
2 years.
You mean you haven't gotten laid in 2 whole years? More than 2 years?
We were married 32 years. You kind of get out of the habit. And then there was the cancer.
I wouldn't have thought that would have made her. I would have thought that would have made her need it even more. I'm sorry.
No, don't be, no, you know, I think you may be right. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
So let me ask you this. Are you planning to hide away for the rest of your life?
Have you got any plans for Thanksgiving?
Trace looks up and sees Tyler.
Nothing I can't get out of.
B and Silvio's bedroom, same. They're both lying side by side on the bed and sweating heavily.
That's enough.
Oh shit, look at this bed. It's soaked. I didn't know I had that much in me.
I guess we're both gonna have to sleep on the wet spot tonight.
No shit.
Tom and Sarah's bedroom, same. Tom comes in quietly. He still has his coat on. Sarah is asleep on the bed. There are still plenty of papers on top of the bed, but her laptop and binder are upended on the floor. Tom picks up the laptop and the binder and places them on the night table. He spies the roach in the ashtray.
Whatever.
He sits in the overstuffed chair in the corner and lights the roach. Sid's bedroom, same. Connie unlocks the door and comes in. Sid is huddled under the covers, the phone in his hand. He's wide awake but pretends to be asleep. Connie crosses to him and feels his forehead. Sid presses the play button on the phone. The message from Robert plays on the speaker. Connie listens to this. There is little in the way of a reaction. When the message is done, Sid switches off the phone.
He shouldn't have called you.
Who is he? I'm not giving you up. I'm not leaving.
Leaving isn't so very hard when the time comes. I'm here right now. I'll take care of you.
Sid grabs hold of Connie and pulls her down on the bed. He attempts to take her, but nothing can happen. Connie, aware of this, just lies there and waits until he realizes the futility and rolls off her. She gets up and straightens herself out. She leans down and tenderly kisses him on the forehead.
Good night. I'll check on you in the morning.
She walks out, turning the light off as she goes. The door closes, we hear the lock turning. Title, Thanksgiving Day. Connie and Sid's kitchen, morning. It is a preternaturally neat and orderly kitchen. An uncooked turkey stuffed and dressed is sitting in a roasting pan on the kitchen's island. There are numerous electronic cuisine gadgets on the various countertops. Sid's voice can be heard coming from upstairs.
Hud, please.
Connie enters. She goes around to each gadget and turns it on, even though none has a purpose at the moment. Once all of these are running, the deafening racket drowns out Sid's voice. Connie puts on an iPod and turns up the volume, opens a box of donuts and begins laying them out on a tray. Tom and Sarah's bedroom, same. Tom is still asleep in the chair. Sarah is asleep on the bed. Tom wakes up. It takes him a second to process that he has spent the night in the chair. He rises, removes his coat, and slips fully dressed into bed beside Sarah. B and Silvio's bedroom, same. B is pulling back the fitted sheet. Most of the papers are stuck to it. Smiling, she begins to peel them off. Arnie's bedroom, same. He is getting dressed for Thanksgiving dinner. He adjusts his tie in the dresser mirror. When he approves this look, he picks up his phone and finds Trace's picture. A text interrupts this. It reads, "Good morning. When are you picking me up?" Interior, Valois See Your Food, same. A neighborhood diner, although the steam table selections hardly seem appetizing. There are very few people in the restaurant. Dave is getting his breakfast on a tray and walking it to a table where he sits down. He is just about to eat when he hears a giggle. He looks up. Sitting in the corner is his roommate's girlfriend. She has spied him and looks as embarrassed as he must feel. Arnie's car, later that afternoon, Arnie pulls up in front of Trace's apartment. He pulls out his phone and calls her.
I'm up front.
Down in a minute. You can go back to looking at my pic.
Someone suddenly walks up to the car and knocks on the driver's side window. It is Dave. Arnie rolls down the window.
David Lloyd, happy Thanksgiving.
What are you doing here?
Well, why are you asking?
I know. You can't fuck with my head. I know.
Well, how nice for you.
Trace comes out of the apartment and slides into the car.
I see you. I see you both.
Half because she wants to and half to piss off Dave, she kisses Arnie on the cheek.
Go. Go.
He takes off. Dave chases after the car on foot.
May your death be a particularly unpleasant and humiliating one, Miss Moneypenny.
Arnie's looking at Dave in the rearview mirror.
Jesus, what is his problem?
You'd be surprised at how many little boys get crushes on the neighborhood dyke.
Well, I wouldn't know about that.
So, riddle me this, fat man. Are we on a date?
A date? No, not a date. Definitely not a date. Just taking you to the friend's place for Thanksgiving. Not a date.
And that's what your friends think.
Of course, I told Connie, and I was bringing a student who didn't have any place else to go.
So I'm a pity date. How flattering.
No, not Katie, just...
I'm teasing you.
Oh.
Sid's bedroom, same. Sid is sitting up in a chair by the window. He's dressed for dinner. Connie's behind him, combing his hair.
Who?
Who?
The one on the phone.
Don't think about it.
You heard him. He said he wants you and he'll kill me to get you.
Don't be dramatic. You didn't say he'd kill you.
Not in so many words.
It's no one you need to think about.
I have to know. You have to tell me.
There. You look good. I'll let you know once everyone's here.
She exits, locking the door behind her. Sid runs to the door and bangs on it.
Let me out now. I'm clean. Lunt.
Dave's dorm room, a short while later. Dave comes barreling into the room. His anger is palpable. He yanks out his tablet and goes online. On screen is the university's social media page. Dave uploads a photo, then checks to make sure that it has gone online. It is the photo of Tyler going down on Trace. Next. He hits the upload button again. Connie and Sid's vestibule a short while later. Connie opens the door and Tom, Sarah, V, and Silvio enter. Each is carrying something for dinner.
Hi.
Let's get this stuff in the kitchen.
Great.
Silvio shoves his bag into B's arms. Tom does the same, giving Sarah his bag. B and Sarah, not a little exasperated, go to the kitchen. B and Sarah enter the kitchen and put the bags on the island.
Jesus, can you believe this?
Dinner for 7 and the kitchen is spotless.
There's something unnatural about that woman. And it's 8. Arnie is bringing a date.
Good for him. Who is it?
B spots the tray of donuts. She picks up 2 and bumps them together.
Oh my God.
B puts down one donut and starts eating the other.
Beep.
The doorbell rings. Connie and Sid's vestibule immediately following. Tom and Silvio can be seen gathered around the wine in the living room off to the right. Connie crosses to the door and opens it. Arnie and Trace enter. She is carrying a bag of food. Arnie kisses Connie on the cheek.
Connie, I think you know...
Of course.
Mrs. Martin advises...
Sisters of Sappho. And drop the Mrs. I'm Connie.
Tom, this is Trace Harmer.
Sure, I know Trace. Good student. troublemaker.
Then you probably already know Sylvia Stanza.
Only by reputation.
Same.
Silvio notices that she is carrying a bag.
Oh, let me. I'll lug this into the kitchen for you. What?
I'll go get Sid.
Connie crosses to the stairs and passes Bea and Sarah, who are coming from the kitchen. Bea is still working on her donut. They meet up with the others in the vestibule.
So Arnie brought a date.
No, not.
We're not calling it a date, but we'll probably go back to my place after dinner and fuck with bunnies. Is that a donut? I love donuts.
Yeah, in the kitchen.
Great. Anyone else want one? Professor? A long john?
Sure.
This way? Yeah, back to the right.
Trace exits to the kitchen. The others are left in the vestibule a little too shocked to talk. Arnie, on the other hand, seems pleased. Sid's bedroom immediately following. Connie unlocks the door and enters. Sid is standing by the window. Connie crosses to him.
Are you ready?
Suddenly, Sid slaps her across the face. Given his desiccated state, there isn't much power to it, but it is shocking nonetheless. Connie does not react. She holds on to herself.
Be good. Now go.
He leaves the room. Connie remains frozen by the window. Staircase immediately following. Sid gingerly descends the stairs as Tom is walking up.
Sid, how's it going?
Good.
Bathroom down the hall, right?
Right?
Sid goes downstairs while Tom goes up. Tom stops at the bedroom door and sees Connie. She's still frozen looking out the window. Tom sneaks up to her and puts his arms around her
Give
waist.
me a minute.
Connie,
Downstairs. Now.
He exits. Connie begins to animate. She quietly walks back toward the door. She closes the bedroom door, sealing herself inside. Sid's bathroom. Connie enters and closes the door behind her. She locks it. There is a towel rack hanging off the front of the sink. She puts her hands on it. Her grip tightens. The rack begins to shake. Suddenly, with more force than she has yet shown, she rips the rack off its mooring. She grabs the towel and tries to tear it. When this fails, she seizes it with her teeth and bites a tear into it. She rips the towel to shreds. When this fails to calm her down, she begins violently pounding her fists on the edge of the sink. She continues to hold her tongue. Eventually spent, she sits on the edge of the toilet. She catches her breath and gives herself a moment. She rises and goes back into the bedroom. Sid's bedroom immediately following. She crosses to the bed and pulls the cover over to give some semblance of a made bed. She doesn't yet cover the pillows. She crosses to the chest of drawers and opens it. She reaches under Sid's underwear and pulls out the enameled box. She crosses back to the bed and places the box on top of the pillows. She pulls the covers over this. Dining room, later that evening. Connie is sitting at one head of the table and Sid at the other. Dinner has already been served.
What was that,
Tofurkey.
interesting.
What time's your defense Monday?
2.
Feeling ready for it?
She's ready.
To Sarah, may Monday bring her what she wants.
Toast to the hostess. Thanks for letting me be here.
Glad to have you. To have you all.
Thanks for making it interesting.
Well, I have one to Trace. May you discover your commitment.
I have one too.
Connie rises to start clearing the dishes.
No, sit down, it's my turn. This is more like a riddle. How many heads does a head fucker fuck when a head fucker really fucks heads?
Are we supposed to answer that?
We are the answer.
Tom's car, a short while later. Tom is driving with Sarah in the passenger seat. Silvio and Bea are in the back seat.
Well, that was different.
Arnie's car, same. Arnie's driving. Trace is seated next to him. She has her feet up on the dashboard.
I'm sorry about that.
You didn't do anything. Besides, it's always interesting to see wild teachers in their natural habitat.
Did you say teachers or creatures?
Exactly.
Well, you got it off to a good start.
What?
Your bunny comment.
We're going to, you know. I think you and I really need to fuck.
Well, I don't know if...
Park around back. There's a spot.
Arnie Connie guides the car toward the parking space. Connie and Sid's kitchen a short while later. Connie's cleaning the dishes. Sid is sitting on a stool by the island. As she passes by him, he reaches out to touch her, but she just keeps cleaning.
I'm sorry, I don't know who. Tell me, who is he? Please, tell me.
It's time for you to go to bed.
Come with me.
I won't lock you in tonight. There's no need to.
Sid exits. Connie plugs in her iPod and sets the song. It is Harry Nilsson's Moonbeam song. She crosses to the sink and begins to do the dishes. She slows down until there is almost no movement. She looks out at the window at the moon. It is full. There are just enough clouds to give it definition. Sid's bedroom immediately following. The camera pulls back until it is revealed that this is the view from Sid's bedroom. He enters the room and crosses to the bed. He sits for a moment, then reaches over and pulls back the cover from the pillow. He sees the small enameled box and opens it. Inside the box are a syringe, a thick rubber cinch, a bench spoon, a Bunsen burner, and enough heroin in a small bag to kill a horse. He removes the cinch and begins to tie it around his arm. The music continues. The camera leaves the bedroom through the door and travels slowly down the stairs. Connie and Sid's kitchen immediately following. The camera enters the kitchen and finds Connie still frozen looking out at the moon. After a moment, there is a thumping sound coming from the ceiling. The lamp over her head begins to jerk in rhythm to the thumping. Connie looks up to see this. The thumping dies down. The lamp stops jerking. Connie turns off her iPod. The music stops. Fade to black. Title card, Black Friday. Under the title is the sound of a riot being broadcast on television. Fade into Tom and Sarah's bedroom. The television is on. On screen is news footage of a typical Walmart riot of post-Thanksgiving shoppers. Sarah walks by and turns off the set. She walks past the bed. Tom is just waking up. Sarah looks in the ashtray for her roach, but it is gone.
I finished it last night. For future reference, don't roll it so tight. Inhibits the draw.
Trace's bedroom, same. Arnie and Trace are in bed. They seem satisfied, at least with having accomplished the task.
Do you want coffee?
That would be nice.
Trace gets out of bed. She doesn't bother to put on a robe as she goes to the kitchen. Arnie lies there a minute. He looks up. Hanging from the window lock is an air freshener shaped like a naked female torso. He reaches up and hits it with his finger. It dances a bit in the morning light. Bea and Silvio's living room, same. Both are in their separate chairs and listening to their separate stereos. Bea is reading. Silvio has his laptop out. He reaches down to pick up a paper from the pile, but most of the pile comes up with it. The papers are all stuck together. Exterior, Connie and Sid's house, same. Tom comes up to the door and rings the doorbell. Connie and Sid's living room. Connie is curled up in a chair. Still in her clothes from the day before, she has obviously not slept all night. She has her headset on. If she can hear the door, she is obviously not planning on answering it. Trace's bedroom, same. Trace is still in the kitchen. Her phone next to the bed rings.
Want me to get that?
Who is it?
Arnie picks up the phone. There is Frida's name and a photo of her looking angry.
I think you better get this one.
Trace comes back into the room with 2 cups of coffee. She hands one to Arnie and takes the phone.
Yo, girlfriend.
You total fucking slut.
How did you know?
Who doesn't know by now? The pictures are on the university Facebook.
What pictures?
You and Tyler and the lizard tongue?
What are you talking about?
Oh, bitch, you better check that page out right now.
What's up? Something wrong?
Trace accesses the Facebook page on her
Oh
phone.
my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
She throws the phone to Arnie. He looks at the pictures. Trace grabs the phone back. She punches a speed dial.
Tyler, it's...
You total fucking slut.
Why are you yelling at me? I didn't put them...
Then who did?
Look at the pictures. Someone took them from outside.
Who would
across
do
the
this?
street.
Oh, who would do this to me?
I think he was after me. Oh, baby girl, calm down. You can handle this. I'm on my way over. Love you. I gotta go. Nature calls.
Yes, of course. Who would do such a thing?
Take a wild guess.
Bea and Silvio's kitchen a short while later.
How can you do that to me?
I did it to your fucking article.
My article is me. You should get that.
B turns around and looks for something to throw at him. On one of the shelves is a bowl clearly meant for display. She grabs it.
Not my Raphaelesco.
She flings it at him. He ducks and it smashes against the wall. He spots another display bowl on the shelf across the room. He lunges for it. She tries to stop him, but he gets it.
Don't you dare touch my roar strand.
Okay, whatever you say.
He drops it. It shatters on the floor.
That was 18th century dumb dago shit.
So is mine, bitch.
She grabs a long shard from the broken plate. She starts jabbing it at him. Silvio grabs a shard from his Raphaelesco and begins taunting her with it. She runs out of the kitchen and he chases her. B runs into the living room, then stops to confront Silvio. There's a tense standoff, both brandishing their shards of crockery. Suddenly, he lunges and the two fall to the floor. He is on top of her. It looks like another bout of sex. She manages to flip him around so that she is on top and straddling him.
Quit it! This isn't foreplay!
It's not.
We're having an argument, asshole!
What about?
Connie and Sid's living room, same. Connie is still curled up in the chair. She rises slowly and walks toward the stairs. Connie enters Sid's bedroom. Sid is lying in the bed. He is dead. Connie crosses to the bed and sits for a moment. In Sid's hand is his cell phone. Connie gingerly pries the phone from his hand and dials 911.
Campus security. I'd like to report an overdose. Yes, it's a death.
Dave's dorm room, same. Dave is lying on his bed and working on a paper.
Yo.
Campus security, we'd like to talk to you.
Tyler's bedroom, a short while later, Tyler and Trace are lying on the bed.
It's okay, baby doll. We'll get through.
Trace kisses her and they both relax into it. Arnie's bedroom, same. Arnie is sitting on the edge of his bed. He's still dressed from the day before. The only difference is that his tie is loosened. He scans the room. It is filled with all the photos and memorabilia of his late wife. He rises and crosses to the closet. It is filled with his wife's clothes. He reaches behind these and finds a big banker's box. He starts the process of putting all the photos and memorabilia in the box. Exterior, Chicago Resource Center, a short while later. Arnie's car is parked out front. He is removing 2 big bags of clothes from the trunk of the car and handing them to the Resource Center attendant. Tom and Sarah's kitchen, same. Tom is staring at the blender as if waiting for it to do something. Sarah enters and goes to the fridge. She pulls out a container of chocolate milk. She looks at it. The label reads, 100% soy chocolate milk. She puts it back in the refrigerator. She crosses to the cupboard. She reaches behind some things and pulls out an obviously hidden loaf of white bread. She takes a slice and walks over to in front of Tom. When Tom looks up to see her, Sarah eats the white bread with defiance. After a long moment, this is broken by Tom's phone ringing. He answers it.
Yes. Connie.
B in Silvio's living room a moment later. They're both in each other's chairs. B's phone rings.
Don't pick it up.
It's Tom. Yes, Tom, I'll get him. He wants us on speaker. Go ahead.
There's no way to say this easy. Sid is dead. Connie just called. He OD'd not long after we left.
Jesus God.
Connie is a campus security. She wants us to meet her there, and Arnie.
Does he know?
I was just about to call.
Let me. You get going. We'll see you there.
Thanks.
He hangs up. Interior, campus security entrance a short while later. Arnie comes rushing in the door and crosses to the desk sergeant.
I'm here for Connie Martin. Go down to room 2 and wait there with the others.
Arnie exits, the desk sergeant picks up the phone.
You're all here, Lieutenant.
Interior, room 2, immediately following. It is a typical impersonal waiting room with furniture that seems to have been scavenged from the 1950s. There are windows on 2 sides, one looking out to the parking lot, the other looking out on the hallway. Arnie enters the room. B, Silvio, Tom, and Sarah are already there.
What are we doing here? Waiting for Connie, I guess.
Dave is being brought into the station. He is arguing with Campus Security 1 and Campus Security 2.
Is that
From the frog the other night.
Yeah, Dave Butera.
What's he got to do with anything?
Excuse me.
Evening, folks. I'm Detective Lieutenant Melendez, and this is Detective Suevio.
Detective Lieutenant Eusebio,
Right. Or with the Chicago Police Department Homicide Division.
Homicide?
I told you not to mention that part just yet. Now they're freaking out.
We need to talk to you individually.
Are we under arrest?
No, no one is under arrest.
Yes.
We just need to ask you some questions.
Dr. Arnold Proctor?
Yes, that's me.
Dr. Proctor?
Yes.
Really? Follow us.
They exit with Arnie. Hallway immediately following. Melendez and Eusebio escort Arnie into the hallway. As they do, Arnie looks toward the front door. He sees Trace and Tyler coming into the station.
Trace?
No talking.
Interrogation room immediately following. Pretty standard issue, fluorescent lights, large two-way mirror, metal table, and chairs.
Make yourself comfortable.
Really?
Please, sit down.
He does so. Melendez opens a file on the desk and begins to quietly sift through it. Eusebio crosses to Melendez and begins to read over his shoulder. Melendez pulls the material closer so that Eusebio can't see it. Eusebio goes back to the corner behind Arnie.
What is your relationship with Consuelo Martin?
Connie? Friend?
Same a short while later.
Friend, I guess.
A short while later.
Friend. Good friend.
Later.
She's a friend of my husband.
Later.
Can you repeat the question?
Same earlier.
There are a number of interesting, let's call them, details. Maybe you can help us clear them up.
I'll try.
Did you at any time during your Thanksgiving visit use the bathroom in Mr. Martin's bedroom?
No.
Same a short while later.
No.
A short while later.
No.
Later.
Not at all, come to think of it.
Later.
I used one on the second floor, but that's it.
Later. What do you mean by used?
Same earlier.
Can you give us any reason why Mr. Martin's bedroom could only be locked from the outside?
Well, Sid was an addict. I think you must know that already.
Same a short while later.
Heroin, coke, honestly, whatever he could get his hands on.
A short while later.
Connie was always trying to get him to dry out.
Later.
She told me once that you could go cold turkey, and I guess the laugh is a way to contain him.
Later.
Can you repeat the question?
Same earlier.
Are you aware that he was receiving threatening messages from a man who was apparently his wife's lover?
What?
Same a short while later.
Why am I not surprised?
A short while later.
Connie had a lover? Good for Connie.
Later.
Who was it?
Later.
Can you repeat the question?
Pardon me for saying so, but you seem a bit nervous.
I would say evasive.
Room 2, later that evening. B, Silvio, and Arnie are all seated. Sarah is pacing nervously.
What's taking him so long?
Well, maybe they had some extra questions for him.
Shut up, Silvio.
Well, I'm sure it's okay. You know, Tom, he's probably lecturing them on the difference between crunchy and soft granola bars.
Is there a ladies' room around here?
Well, I'll go with you.
No, I'm fine.
Sarah exits. Hallway. Sarah walks down the hall and deliberately passes the ladies' room. She stops by the interrogation room and checks the lock on the door just to the right of the room. It opens. Observation room. Sarah enters and crosses to the two-way mirror. Tom is being interrogated by Melendez and Eusebio. He looks nervous. Their voices are coming into the observation room through a tinny speaker.
It's not that we don't believe you.
Even if we don't, right?
Do you mind? But you're making it hard on us.
I'm sorry.
The question is simple. What is the nature of your relationship with Mrs. Martin?
I never made any phone calls to Sid.
Guilty conscience?
No one asked you if you made any calls to Mr. Martin.
I didn't ask that. Did you ask that?
As it happens, the calls clearly came from a much younger man. He's the one we're looking for. We only want your help.
The only suspicion you're under is the one you're doing to yourself. That doesn't sound right.
Shut the fuck up. Now, just between us, just strictly for informational purposes, what is the nature of your relationship with Mrs. Martin?
I'm in love with her.
See, now we're getting somewhere. Is she in love with you? Is Mrs. Martin in love with you?
I don't know. Maybe. It's hard to tell with Connie.
Sarah exits the observation room. Room 2, a moment later, Sarah re-enters the room.
Are you okay, hon?
I'm okay, I'm fine.
You thought you fell in?
Really, I'm fine. Just drop it.
Arnie looks out the window toward the hall. Trace is walking by.
You guys, my turn.
He crosses to the door and looks out. He sees Trace going into the ladies' room. Arnie quick steps into the hall and goes to the ladies' room. He quickly goes inside. Ladies' room immediately following, a single unit. Trace is already sitting on the toilet.
Arnie, what the fuck?
Arnie immediately turns off the light to give her the semblance of privacy. The room is pitch black.
What are you doing here?
What are you doing here?
It took campus security about 10 seconds to trace those photos to Davy Boy.
You were right.
But what are you doing here?
Well, you remember Sid from last night.
Ghost?
Exactly. Well, he's kind of dead.
Dead? How so?
He OD'd right after we left.
Oh my god. How's Connie?
Well, we haven't seen her. There's apparently been something like foul play.
Really? Cool. I mean, no, that sucks. Do they think she did it?
Well, they're not saying, but Tom has been there getting questioned for the last 45 minutes.
Okay, you have to admit, this is pretty interesting.
Well, I'm not really ready to go there. But what about you and this Davy thing?
Tyler and I are going to have to sign out a restraining order. It's all we can do.
She flushes the toilet. She gets up and flips the light back on.
Tyler and you.
I guess I know now what I didn't know yesterday.
Well, I'm glad.
Really?
Well, I took down all of my wife's stuff today and boxed it up.
Now I'm glad. It's a good thing.
Jesus, that woman was a hoarder.
They embrace and hold on to each other for a nice long moment. Trace finally breaks it.
I better go out first.
She opens the door and looks around.
I love you. Not that way. The other way. You know, like the other way I mean.
Yeah, I love you the other way, too.
Arnie watches the door as it closes. He turns to the mirror and examines his own happiness for a moment. He turns and opens the door. A very large lady cop is standing there waiting to get in. She is perturbed to see that she has had to wait for a man.
Oh, sorry.
Room 2. A moment later, Arnie comes back into the room.
Tom not back yet?
Nope, not yet.
What's with you?
Me? No, nothing. Nothing.
Tell Tom I'll meet him back at the house.
Where are you going?
She just told
To the
me.
house?
Do you want me to drive you? You call if you need anything, okay?
She kisses him on the cheek and exits.
What a dump.
Benny Davis. What do we do now?
Well, you two go home and I'll wait for Tom to get him back to his place.
Interrogation room, same. Tom is still seated at the table with Melendez. Eusebio is still hovering in the background.
Yeah, I think we're done at this point.
For the moment,
You can go now.
I can go.
that's what the man said.
Can I see her?
Your wife is waiting.
I mean, Con, Mrs. Martin.
Not once she's here.
We aren't ready to do any booking. She'll be released on her own reconnaissance later today. And I'll tell you what I'm going to tell her.
Don't leave town!
You might. Jesus. Don't leave town.
You two are... You know she's not guilty. Impossible.
There's guilt, and there's guilt.
And we're only interested in killing. Smart man like you should know the difference.
Shut up, sweetie.
Room 2, a moment later, Tom enters. Arnie grabs his coat and brings it to him.
Come on, fella, I'm taking you home.
Tom just takes the coat and they exit. Tom and Arnie walk past room 1. As they walk by, Arnie looks into the window. He sees Mickey. He is alone and sitting on a chair. He has a bunch of flowers on his lap. Arnie nudges Tom and motions for him to look in the window.
Strange bedfellows.
Tom is not happy at what he sees, but they keep moving. Arnie's car, a short while later, they're driving in silence. Tom seems a million miles away.
Well, it's probably none of my business.
It's not.
I need to tell you something.
Please don't.
Back when you were my student, I thought you were a real asshole.
Thanks.
But I saw potential in you. I knew that you'd grow into your better self. That's why I sponsored you for the job here. That's why I mentored you through tenure. And Well, not and, but I was wrong. You really are an asshole. I don't know what's going on between you and Sarah, but you better pay some attention to the problem.
Take a left on 56.
Are you listening to me?
I can hear you. Pull up over here.
Arnie does. He realizes that he is in front of Connie's place.
Just get out.
Tom does. Arnie pulls out. Tom crosses to a tree opposite the house and waits. Bea and Silvio's living room, same. Bea and Silvio enter through the front door. Silvio is carrying some takeout Chinese.
I'll get this on plates.
He exits to the kitchen. Bea stands in the entryway to the living room. She sees the 2 bookshelves, the 2 stereos, the 2 matching tables next to the 2 matching chairs. The damn symmetry of it all. She enters the room and begins to move the furniture around. Silvio enters with 2 plates of food.
What are you up to?
She keeps rearranging things. Silvio puts down the plates and crosses to her. She ignores his approach and continues shoving things around.
Enough!
Bea stops. She starts to cry. Silvio doesn't know what to do. He sits in his chair and she falls into hers. The chairs are now practically on top of each other.
What?
I just want to live with you.
You do. We do.
With you, not next to you.
At first, Silvio watches her cry. Finally, he reaches over and invites her onto his lap. She slides onto it and holds him like a little girl clinging to daddy. Tom and Sarah's living room, same. Sarah is standing quietly in the middle of the room. She holds this for a moment, then something seems to shake her out of it. She crosses to the kitchen, flips on the light, and goes to the pantry. She disappears into it for a moment. We can hear her rummaging around. Sarah enters a moment later with a large hammer. She walks over to the blender. Suddenly, with no small amount of energetic joy, she swings at the blender and shatters it. Glass goes flying everywhere.
Yes!
She runs to the refrigerator, pulls out the soy chocolate milk, and drop kicks it into the ceiling. It rains chocolate milk.
Elvis has left the building.
Thank you very much. Connie and Sid's house a short while later. Tom is still waiting under the tree. A cab pulls up to the house. Tom moves a bit back into the shadows. Connie and Mickey exit the cab. She is holding his flowers. They embrace in a cordial and consoling manner for a long moment. Mickey then gets back in the cab and it takes off. Connie turns to face the steps leading up to the front door. She freezes. Tom crosses the street and walks over to her.
What was Mickey doing with you?
What are you doing here?
I was worried about you. You didn't answer my question.
You just wanted to make sure I was okay.
Are you? Let's go inside. Give me your keys.
Let's sit out here.
She sits on the steps. Tom sits next to her.
Hello?
I think they think I did it.
Bullshit. My guess is they think it's the kid. They told us about the kid in the phone calls. I'm not asking.
Told you?
Yeah. Yeah, we were all questioning.
God.
It's okay. It's strictly pro forma.
Connie suddenly gets up to go into the house. Again, she can't do it. She sits back down.
Steady, steady, girl. They told us about the smashed up bathroom and the drugs. Maybe they think the kid came in, struggled with Sid, and overcame him. Can't fit that hard. You can shake it. Then he injected it to make it look like an overdose, and that's that.
You think so?
Undoubtedly.
That's good. I have to remember that. Give it to me again. How do you think you got into the house?
I'm not saying that's how it happened. Only there could be a theory.
But theories could be proven, right? They just need the right details.
What are you talking about?
Sid was sick. He wouldn't let me help him. There are so many people who need me. He was wrong to take me away from them.
Bonnie, what did you do?
I didn't do anything. I didn't have to.
Then it was the boy.
No, he had nothing to do with it. It was all Sid. I just let it happen. Oh, Tom, you don't have to worry. It's for the best.
There's guilt. And then there's guilt.
What's that supposed to
Something Melendez said. I gotta go.
be? No, stay. I need you to
I
know.
can't.
He turns and starts to walk quickly away.
Tom!
He keeps going. After a moment, Connie turns and starts to mount the stairs. Again, she can't enter her house. She just stands there. Exterior, 56th Street. Immediately following, Tom is running down the street. We follow him as he runs home. Tom and Sarah's block. A short while later, Tom comes running down the block. He stops. He sees a cab in front of his house. The cab takes off. Tom chases after the cab, but it is obviously useless. He turns and runs into the house through the side door. Interior, Tom and Sarah's kitchen immediately following. Tom comes running in the side door. He hits the puddle of soy chocolate milk. His feet go up and he lands flat on his ass. He looks around. He can see the hammer, the shattered glass of the blender, and the coating of the chocolate soy milk everywhere.
Sarah?
Dissolve to title Small Business Saturday. Shambling Frog, late afternoon. The bar is closed for the afternoon. Chairs are still on top of most of the tables from the previous evening's sweeping. The only other people in the bar are Bruno and Mickey. Mickey is in his usual perch at the end of the bar. Arnie enters. He spots Mickey and crosses to him.
Hey, Mick, thanks for arranging this.
No thanks needed, but much appreciated.
Double dickle. So, I guess we're the first?
Looks that way.
Bruno brings Arnie his drink. He lifts it to Mickey.
Two absent friends.
Aye.
They drink. B and Silvio enter.
Why are we here?
Because Mickey asked us and because Connie needs us. Hi, guys.
Hey.
Now what?
Well, now we wait, I guess.
Let's grab a table.
2 reds, whatever you got.
They cross to a small table for two and sit.
Come, fairies, take me out of this dull world, for I would ride with you upon the wind, dance upon the mountains like a flame.
You can't spout poetry.
Yeats. Sentimental shite. Want to hear a joke?
The door opens and Sarah enters.
Saved by the bell.
Sarah crosses to the far end of the bar from the others.
Being exclusive.
Yeah.
Bruno?
He signals Arnie to get Sarah a drink.
Tom coming?
You'll have to ask him.
Bruno brings Sarah a shot glass of whiskey. She downs it. Tom enters. He crosses to Sarah.
Where have you been?
You might have noticed that my clothes are missing. That's right. Why would you?
You can't leave me.
Tense. I've left.
I need you.
I thought I needed you, but now I think I was just afraid of you.
Afraid?
But don't worry. You know what I'm going to do?
What?
On Monday, I'm going to totally ace my 10-year defense. And you know why?
Why?
Because I want you to sit in that faculty room with you for the next 20 years and have you look at me and know, I mean really know how much you fucked up.
Sarah? Please. Please, come back.
Tom, will you do something for me?
Yes. Yes, anything.
Go sit somewhere else.
He crosses to the corridor, to the men's room, not far from Silvio and B. He stands there, ever the martyr.
There once was a lass from Nantucket.
Stop. Now.
Connie enters. She reaches Arnie first. He kisses her on the cheek.
Oh, so sorry.
Connie crosses to Mickey and kisses his cheek.
Thanks for putting this together. I'd like you all to sit down.
Arnie and Sarah cross 2 separate tables. Tom does not move. Mickey remains at the bar.
Can we all have a round of CNC? That was Sid's favorite. I know how hard last night must have been for you all. It wasn't very easy for me either. Because of the way Sid died, the police need to hold on to his body a while. I don't know when you can have a funeral. Nikki and I talked last night and we thought it best to have a little memorial today. I mean, you never know, right?
Bruno distributes the drinks.
To Sid.
Sid.
We're still missing 2 people.
They're pulling up now.
All look out the window. A black police interceptor is visible outside the window. Melendez and Eusebio get out of the car and come into the bar.
Now hang on.
She called me this morning. This is what she wants.
Consuelo Martin?
This is my collar. You cuffed me. Consuelo Martin, you're under arrest. Criminal negligence and death of Sidney Martin, 1765 East 56th.
Eusebio cuffs Connie.
This is wrong.
Shut up, Silvio.
Hey, this isn't easy. It's got to be done. Don't throw me off.
Don't forget to Mirandize her.
I know.
I just don't want you to forget.
I'll do it in the car. Let's get her out of here.
They lead her out. Eusebio turns to Bruno.
Hey, got some juice?
Bruno shakes his head no.
No? Fucking college bar.
They exit. We see them through the window as they put Connie in the back seat and then take off.
Anyone want to hear the one about...
Fuck off, Mickey.
Mickey gets off the stool and walks toward the baby Gran.
Isn't that the way of it? A humble man, such as himself, with only a desire to lighten the gloom of
For Christ's sake, we're trying to process here.
Really, Mickey, just fuck the fuck off.
He sits at the piano and surveys the keys. He hovers his hands over them a moment, then takes one finger and hits the key underneath it 3 times. He then begins to play.
Here's the story of a lovely lady who was bringing up 3 very lovely girls. All of them had hair of gold like their mother, the youngest one in curls. Here's the story of a man named Grady who was busy with 3 boys of his own. There were 4 men living all together, yet they were all alone. Till one day when the lady met this fella, and they knew it was much more than a hunch, that this group would somehow form a family. That's the way we all became the Brady Bunch. The Brady Bunch. The Brady Bunch. That's the way we became the Brady Bunch. Well, I guess that's that.
Blackout. The end.